was fun. I didn't know that the regular countdown you could still use, so I thought that was a happy surprise.
Like 30 seconds. This is taking forever.
I thought the music was a bop though,
It
so
was good.
I was vibing. So yes, hello and welcome to the Nostalgia Train Book Club. We are going to be discussing Red Rising today. So better late than never. And I'm joined by Lynn today. Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. Just trying to mute my other YouTube.
Oh
So I
yeah,
can see comments.
oh yeah, good idea. Oh, that's smart. And Sam is joining us from the chat, which we saw. We were chatting backstage and we got a little bit distracted.
About books though, so it was
About
good.
books, yeah, it was on topic but off topic, which is good because we were trying to save our Red Rising thoughts. Speaking of which, I will put up the spoiler banner for Red Rising. So,
Are we jumping right into spoilers, or do you want like initial thoughts?
oh yeah, we could just do initial thoughts. That's true. Okay, so Red Rising, experience with the book.
Yeah. You had read it before?
I've read it before. So I like got back into reading in like a year like 2018 or something. 2019 is when I like really got back into like reading like how I read now, like a lot. And Red Rising was one of those books that was like on my radar, like I'd seen on a list of like popular books or must read books. And I had like flagged it as like a want to read. And I don't think I knew anything about it other than like a minor guy on Mars. I was like, oh, okay, want to read. Like, I knew nothing about it. And then I started hearing stuff about it on BookTube. Like, I don't know. It seemed a little bit divisive. Like, some people loved it and some people hated it. The way people talked about it and the fact that it was so divisive made me want to read it even more.
Interesting.
I think my library, when I went to look at the book, said I read it in 2021. So then it took me a few years to get to it, but I got to it eventually. But by that time, I had heard a lot more people on BookTube saying like the overall series is amazing. It seems like it has like a huge died-hard fan base.
Okay, interesting.
But also, when I first saw it on that book list, it was on a YA book list. And that's one of the things I want to discuss. Like, is this even a YA book? Because when I was home for Easter in the US and I went to my local library, I wanted to check it out. It was shelved adult at the library. So I was like, ooh, this is, that always like gets me like tingling for like the book club. Like, oh, shelved in different categories. Ah.
I feel like every time we read a YA book, we talk about like this shouldn't have been YA.
I know, but I love that discussion. It's like my favorite. So yeah, so it was a reread for me.
Okay. So I had a very different experience. I remember hearing about the book or seeing the cover, but I had no clue what it was about. Even when I started reading it for this book club, I didn't look it up. I sometimes do that where I'm just like, oh, if other people have said it's good or we're doing it for the book club, I'll just read it without like I didn't read the back. Obviously, I had it from Libby, so there was no back to read from Libby, but I didn't read the summary. I just put it on hold, and when it came in, I actually ended up getting the audiobook, but not the audiobook that you guys were talking about. I guess I got the normal one. So should be interesting to see if there was a lot of differences there. But yeah, so completely went in cold, didn't know anything about it. Just remember seeing the cover like everywhere. I did look up when it came out because I wasn't really sure. So 2014, I think it said.
That's a good question. Since I had the Wikipedia open, I can look at it immediately. 2014. Yeah, so it's
what was I reading then? It wasn't this. It wasn't this. So we can talk about it later, but I will say it's not what I was expecting. Based on knowing nothing and the red wing on the cover, I was like, what is happening? Yeah. So it was a completely opposite experience to yours, I think. So this was the first time I'd read it.
Yeah, well, it was so different to what I was expecting as well because I had only read like the first sentence about like mining on Mars. So I thought it was going to be all about this underground mining thing on Mars. And it's like, oh, that's not at all what it's really about. Like it's about that for like a few minutes and then we're past that.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that you pointed out like people really like the whole series. And I can certainly see like the potential of where it could go, and it's not at all where it started. So that's good to know that people are a big fans of the series, and maybe not just book one as is, but yeah.
Yeah, when I initially read it, I was not that interested in continuing in the series, but I've heard so much that it gets so much better. And now after reading it the second time, I'm kind of like, okay, I think I could push through. But there is some parts of the book that were kind of like, I don't want to say a slog. It just weren't really my thing.
Yeah,
So we'll put
I
it like that.
agree. Yeah, I
uh,
agree. And that I hadn't read anything else from this author either.
Me neither, yeah. I'm gonna put up the spoilers now. Um what did I want to say? We were talking about oh yeah, the plot. I used to have a plot banner. I do plot and pacing. There it is. The plot. Um so I know the first time I read this, I really was really I think judgy and a little bit I don't know, grumpy about it because it really had a lot of the beats like of the Hunger Games. The first time I read it, I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? Is this just like the Hunger Games, like in different clothing? Like, so I think I was a little bit bitter because
Yeah.
of how people talked about this book versus how they talk about the Hunger Games. Um, After reading it the second time, obviously I see the differences, but
There
that
are a
was a
lot of
big,
similarities though.
yeah,
I noticed it, and I haven't read The Hunger Games in years, and I still noticed it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very similar.
Especially I felt like the transformation makeover sequence, it just felt so
Oh, yeah.
that was the thing for me that really like, oh, we're preparing you to go into this. I'm like, okay, this feels very like Katniss's stylist team to me.
Yeah, his was a little bit more physical, like bone
Yeah.
graphs and things, but, and not that hers wasn't physical too, but his was a little more, painful, it sounded like. Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I don't think I picked up on the similarity then. It was more like once we got into the main plot that I was like, this feels like Hunger Games, but teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Um the other things like plot wise is I don't know, it really rubbed me the wrong way the first time I read it. Um I mean, spoiler banner is up about his wife dying, like right at the beginning, and this being like a motivation for him. I kind of hate this trope of
Mhm.
like a dead woman is the motivation for a man. Like, oh, it just like it really rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, ah, oh, that's such a like I don't know archaic kind of trope, and it set a bad taste in my mouth the very first time I read it. This time I obviously knew that's what was going to happen, so I could go into it like a little more open-minded. But
I think I had a feeling that's what was gonna happen. And I remember right before it happened, I think once they're, like, in jail, I stopped for, like, a couple days. So it would have been really easy to not pick up because I was like, "I don't like what's gonna what's gonna happen here."
yeah,
So I remember being like, pretty sure bad things are gonna happen." I do think, like, I mean, even Darrow says, like, "Oh, why couldn't we have saved EO?" And I'm like, "She's the one that wanted this." It would have been interesting to, like, I know he needed something to drive him, towards the revenge plot, but, like, yeah, revenge plot certainly feels overdone sometimes in a lot of stories, in my opinion. But if that's your thing, then you're on board with Darrow. But I agree, it was kind of like, oh, we were just getting to know her.
Yeah, it just felt like kind of an outdated kind of cliche to me, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, everybody says the series gets better, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to like look past these couple of things that bothered me.
well, and I was kind of hoping that he was gonna do something to attempt to save her. And so when he doesn't, and then he's literally pulling on her feet, I'm like, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
This is not what I wanted. But I thought like her going to be hanged was going to be the catalyst for him to realize like things need to change in this society. And like even like the rest of the crowd doesn't do anything, and I was just like, ah. I thought it was going to go a different direction from the just like I guess just the threat of hanging her, and then I'm like, oh no, she's dead. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, on the flip side though, one sort of plot beat that I really liked was then like yeah, slightly past this where you know, Darrow has been you know, brought up by the Sons of Ares, is that what they're called? This rebel group. And we kind of have the rug pulled out from under us and realize that like Mars has been like terraformed for like a century. Like I love that sort of reveal. I was like, oh, that's a gut punch. Like that's a good one. Like I wasn't expecting it.
That was a really good plot twist. Into like that would be like the new world that he's I guess
Yeah.
in. And opening his eyes to what is actually happening. It's funny because in my book club we had a theme for like favorite plot twist or something, and I was like, nobody mentioned this as a favorite plot twist. Like I don't know, maybe no one had read it, but it's certainly a good one that I didn't see coming,
Yeah.
and really completely changes the rest of the plot for the book. And like you said, it's just like terraforming on in the ground on Mars for the first few chapters, and then off from there. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
remember when when I started listening to it, I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "What these mole people? I don't understand. There is a red wing on the cover of this book. That's all I know. That's all I have for expectations." And I'm like, "Where are the winged people?" Which they come, but I remember like reading it and like a few chapters in, and I'm like, "Oh, is this just gonna be about mining? What's happening?" Yeah, so that certainly didn't align with like the cover for me. So I don't know. I'm assuming most people probably knew something about the book, and knew something was going to happen. But for me, I was like, it could have been easy to put this down again because it wasn't meeting my very little expectation of like something winged, is whether it's creatures or people. That was it. I was like, why'd you put that on the cover then? I was already mad like few chapters in.
Okay,
It did take a turn, obviously, but it
how did you feel about how we kind of learned that okay, he's gonna go to this like elite academy? So then you kind of get in your mind like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like an academy like training montage book, and then that also gets like pulled out from under you. Like, just kidding, this is like open field battle castle warfare.
That's a really good point. It it's interesting because like if I think about it, maybe in 2014 like authors could do things like that, but now it seems like you really do have to set the expectation for your reader and like follow through.
Yeah.
um so to set the expectation that we're going to go to a school, and then we're on the battlefield. Yeah, I agree, very very strange just idea to do it that way when the students are like, "This is a school," and I'm like, "Is it?" um, we're not
Yeah,
in school
again,
right now. Yeah, it was strange.
this time reading it, obviously I knew what I was getting into, but I remember the first time I read it, it was like such a WTF for me. I was like, what is happening? Like, where are they? What are they doing? Like, what is this? Like,
well, and I thought at first like they were each gonna be learning at like each different site for their groups with whatever their like leader of that group was. And then it was quickly like, oh, this is just capture the flag, but like some people die. Not at all what they set him up to be going into. So yeah, the fact that even the sons, the anarchy group or whatever, didn't really know what they were sending him into, and I'm like, or they didn't tell him. I don't know, whichever you want to believe, but uh, really strange choice to set us up for a completely different plot, and then just not have that happen. Maybe that happens in book 2. Maybe.
yeah, maybe it's more straightforward going through with the series, but definitely thinking like plot and pacing wise, it definitely feels like a little bit like this at this sort of first half or first act at least.
Yeah.
And then once you're sort of there and you're sort of in the sort of warfare academy game thing that's going on, then like you're in it. But like until then, you don't really realize that.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of kind of downtime in that first act where you could easily put it down and
Yeah,
not pick
yeah,
it back up. Like,
yeah.
I think it was realistic to show like how long it took him to heal, how long they had, like how many different surgeries they did, all of that. But at the same time, I was like, when's things gonna happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like there's that little moment where he scares the guy that's been doing surgery on him and stuff. And I was like, I think there could have been a little bit more of that. And he like starts to befriend the woman that's taking care of him while he's healing. And I'm like, there could have been a little bit more there. I mean, obviously not romantic. He's literally just getting over his dead wife, but we can talk about that later.
Oh yeah, for
but
sure.
but I just felt like they had these characters and they had like these little moments with him, and I was like, you could have made that more interesting so we could get a feel for who he is in this new world that he's dealing with all this stuff. Anyway, but again, I like that it was realistic. It wasn't like he's healed, he's fine, he's ready to go. But
That's true.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is a little slow. Yeah.
It was a little slow. For me, the pacing dragged a little bit. Like once we kind of got into it, just some of the strategy and like warfare talk, it's just like was not so much my cup of tea. So there was like some parts of it where it's like, okay, I'm in this little thing, and then there's like, I don't know, these other like war tactics going on, and like, I don't know. Some of it I was a little bit not zoning out. I just didn't feel that invested, I guess. Maybe because it was so I knew there was so much more left of the book. So I was thinking like, okay, these side characters and stuff, it's just kind of like eliminating some people.
Yeah, I do think yeah, okay, when they first get there and him and his friend, I'm blanking on the name. I told you I'm really bad with the names. Um, his friend whose brother he killed and he doesn't know. They're like, we're the leaders of this group when they first get there, and they like
Mhm.
attack another group and whatever, and then like that quickly flips. But it just kind of felt like you could have streamlined that whole process of them figuring out who was going to be the leader in like one conversation instead of kind of stretching it out a little bit maybe. But
Yeah, for me it was just some of this like I said, like this back and forth strategy. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It just got a lot to me just knowing how much of the book was left. Whereas like
okay.
later there are some plot points that I liked better, but
Also, they had fire forever without telling the rest of their group, and I was like, no, they would have figured this out. Like, it just felt I was like, they really stretched this out. I think that time could have been a lot shorter. Like, they should have immediately smelled smoke on your clothing. They could have seen the smoke. I don't know. I know they were doing it at night and whatever, but I was like, that should have been a lot quicker that led to more
That's a good
conflict.
point. I didn't even think about that. That's a
Yeah,
really good
he's like,
point.
"You smell like smoke. Why is that?" And I'm like, "How? Why are you only figuring that out now?" But he kind of, I think he, said that he's known all along, and he's just like bringing it up now. But I was like, this could have sped up this conflict. And then, oh my god, I should have taken notes on all the different like plots and beats for the war that's happening through these school students. I don't know what you want to call them, but yeah, I'm just like, okay, why are there so many groups?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say as well. It really bogged it down for me. The amount of characters and the amount going on, it was a little bit too much for me to focus on. And then you're just trying to narrow in on the key players.
Yeah.
And it's
And I remember them being like, "Oh, we can't really see to the east and there's like smoke, like things are happening." But I was like, I don't know, it could have been fewer groups, in my opinion.
yeah, definitely. And I mentioned to you backstage, like some of the names of the characters, they're all quite like these prestigious sort of names, like just to fit the sort of world building in this like upper class gold society. But it's a lot when like there's all these characters and they all have these pompous names, and then on top of that they have also like nicknames.
Yeah. And then there were the characters they introduced to us just to kill off.
Yeah.
For like that first round where it was like only one you've buddied up and only one of you comes out, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, okay. Which I guess was important for various reasons, and obviously the brother dying is important there, but yeah, it just felt like, oh my god, I can't keep track of who's who. Anyway, so
Definitely. Yeah.
thanks for taking half of them out. That was great.
I have a thing for characters. I don't really want to go into depth about any of the characters unless you do, but like
Other
it
than
was a
like you
lot.
said, Io dying so quickly, I'm like, you didn't even give us a chance to like get to know her enough to be sad that she's dead. You know what I mean? Like we're sad for Darrow, but we're not like I didn't feel connected to Io to be like mad or sad about it. I was just like kind of frustrated. So
Yeah.
we only see like a couple scenes with her and Darrow, and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, she's not a really fleshed out character. She's just like this sort of like put on a pedestal, this sweet young girl, this perfect wife, this, this rebellious spirit. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, it didn't.
Yeah, she wasn't a real character. I agree.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting if she was the one to tell Darrow that like what's happening, what the planet really looks like, and you know what I mean, because they do go outside in that scene where they then get
Yes,
caught,
they
and that
do.
leads to them being killed. So I was like, you could have, I don't know, that could have been more interesting, and it could have been her kind of introducing him to the fact that like everything's a lie, but instead it was just like her being like, this is our planet, which so maybe she knew, I don't know, there's a hint there that she was kind of like, this is ours and we should be able to enjoy it, but it's illegal.
Hi, Sam.
Hello. Sorry. We had to get some housework done today, and I had to do it before the rain started. And I at first I was like, yeah, we'll like get most of the lawn mowed, and then I'll stream, and then we'll come back out and finish. And I'm like feeling the weather change, and I'm like, no, it must all be done
now. Sam, do you just want to quickly say your experience with the book?
I had never heard of this book before last month, and I had never read this book before this week.
Oh, wow.
And did you know anything going into it?
Nothing. Absolutely.
Welcome to my club.
Oh, okay. Then you missed our kind of
cover.
Interesting discussion here about the plot and the pacing that we had.
Yeah. So I had seen the cover and I had heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it. So I stuck with that going into this, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Neither. I saw a lot of people, or by a lot I mean 2 or 3 people, were reading the dramatization version. I just had a lovely Irish narrator the entire time. So
was mine Irish? I also didn't have the dramatic one. I just had the normal one, but I don't know if he was Irish.
mine was distinctly Irish. I will look up his name.
What was I going to say? Yeah, we discussed how it felt like the plot and pacing was a little bit like you think that you're going to be in this underground mining society, and then, oh, just kidding, we're being up on the surface and it's been all terraformed for a really long time and had the wind knocked out of us. And, oh, just kidding, this is like a makeover montage. And now we're going into like an academy, but just kidding, it's not really an academy. It's like open warfare. So we were like, just that was, I would say, the brief summary of what we discussed so far.
Yeah, and that it was Hunger Games like.
Hunger Games-esque. We didn't like that his wife was like a martyr character.
Killed right away.
Let me tell you, that happened, and I was like, I will be salty the rest of this book.
Okay, yep, that's exactly what we said. Okay.
I had a feeling it was coming, and I put the book down, and I took a couple days before I was like, all right, let's do this.
It was so fucking projected that it was coming. I'm like, but why him? Why not her? Like, they're
about being saved.
Also, so I know that this is in part because of the narrator I was listening to, but also just the way it was written and stuff. Why are you trying to give me this image of this 30, 40-year-old man who's lived many years? He and his decade have been ride or die for the, or he and his wife have been ride or die through the decades. They've gone through so much together and everything. And he's 17. This boy is 17 years old. They've known each other since they were 5, but like, sir.
Yeah, I was also frustrated. And Darrow says it, like, why couldn't you have saved her?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, Darrow, great question.
Like, why not her? Why just so annoying?
Like, you should be saving everybody and starting an army above ground.
They kind of imply that the reason he's picked is because, like, his dad was the leader of the previous rebellion, and because he can be charismatic and get all these people to, like, follow him and stuff. And I'm like, but then you completely change who he is, and he has to act like a completely different person.
That's true.
I'm not buying charisma.
Well, I thought it was because he was a Helldiver, so he has like this physical ability that
he would survive the transition.
Yeah, that he's almost like a supreme athlete in a way.
Yeah, I think there was an element of that for sure. And also that he was really smart.
There was
something
smart?
he gets tested smart. And he eats the card.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So like there was something about you have to pass this test, and it was just like, can you, I guess, can this trick you or not? It was both of the cards were the wrong one, blah blah blah. I don't know. There was something to it that he had to be smart enough to outthink.
Yeah, because he figured out like they had like a basically sort of Rubik's Cube that wasn't a Rubik's Cube, that like the formula and everything kept changing, and he had to figure it out. But it was really just like pattern recognition, and he was really good at pattern recognition.
But then they just like downloaded a bunch of information into his brain anyway. So I'm like, what?
So like the only real thing that I could buy is just because he was like not just a Helldiver, but he was like a super strong, tough Helldiver. But like that's it. That's the only reason we're given that makes sense above other people. And then like, later we find that he's not even the only one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
And they're like, one of the reasons they picked him is because like the other guy, like he's just in it for revenge and stuff by now. And I'm like, yes. And the motivation of they killed my wife and now I must make them pay, is it?
Yeah. And I'm like, did they let Io die so that would be his revenge, right? Like, I mean, maybe she wasn't really dead, but he was pulling on her feet, so she is in that regard. But like, yeah, I was thinking, oh, they've used this moment to push him towards revenge, and then yeah, you're exactly right. The other guy, same thing, and it backfired. You guys, why are you doing it that way?
Well, didn't they say he didn't know if the other guy was with the rebellion or anything? He didn't. We don't really have any details about him. We just know that he was a red, right? Or do we know it?
He was a red who was turned into a gold, presumably by the rebellion, because we don't know of any other factions that would do that.
We don't know, but also he wasn't. Didn't tell him.
Yeah, they told him nobody survived the transition.
Yeah, so
right?
That is a question as to how he was infiltrated.
Yeah,
but it was a nice little, thing that that he got him from the vocal tick, and it, was a little bit of like a Chekhov's gun, where it like came up and it came up and then it came up again at the end. So it was like a very nice little tie through, but bloody damn or something. Is that what he said? Something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the little trigger that.
He also didn't need the whole trauma issues and stuff with the wife, since they were giving him a love interest again anyway. And
okay, yeah, that's something when we were saying, then you're like, oh, we're gonna talk about this, and I was like, yes. I felt like every time he saw a female character and he was like, and she was really pretty, I was like, would you say that? Like, maybe that is a realistic thought a 17-year-old would have, but
would a 17-year-old child, like, would a 17-year-old boy say that? 100%. Would a grizzled veteran of the mines who'd been with his wife for 30 years? Probably not. So, but like, sorry, I just had a really big issue every time, because the way they make him sound, it's like you're supposed to get this vision of him as he is a hell diver. He's been doing this for years. He's like this grizzled miner who's in this oppressed race and stuff. And he's like, I'm 17. Like, you are still baby. Traumatized baby, but baby.
Yeah.
It just, like I said, I feel like, yeah, that is a realistic thought a 17-year-old would have, like thinking of, the girl's physical look. But I feel like it's like the opposite, writing advice of like saving the cat. Instead of like endearing us to the main character, it's making us think like, wow, like what a dick. Like your wife just died, dude. Like
it's because they're like, it's this annoying juxtaposition where we're trying to believe that he went through all of that. Like our belief in the fact that this 17-year-old can do all of this, can go through all of this, can be the leader of the rebellion, is rooted in his devastation that his wife has died. The love of his life, the other half of his soul is dead. And he's just like, but maybe I can. I'm like,
yeah,
I would be fine with one of these, but trying to make me believe both of these are true at the exact same time, I'm like, I mean, maybe for meaningless sex, but not a deep romance.
Yeah, I could see it, even if like Pierce Brown would have like phrased it differently, like, like seeing how her hair fell over her shoulder, like made me, like long for like this thing of Io, and like, if he would have like,
he could have pissed me off more, because I would have been like, she's not your dead wife. You cannot replace her.
Yeah, but I think if he would have been like,
comparing to her,
comparing in a way like, oh, I have that longing for the physicality of missing her and her not being here, I feel like he could have finessed that.
If seeing other couples made him miss his wife,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Not just seeing a different pretty woman and being like, man, my wife used to be pretty. Yeah, my wife's hair used to fall like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Mustangs like got some nice biceps. You know who else has nice biceps? My wife.
Oh God. You know what? I think to be fair, I think I didn't mind it as much with Mustang, because nothing happened for a really long time. It was kind of like develop a friendship first. But what I didn't like is that he was kind of talking about the girl that was taking care of him, like during the surgery process and everything. And I was like, sir, your wife's been dead for a minute. Like,
Yeah.
Take a breather.
I will say it's a little different with Mustang. She's just the only person whose name popped into my head. But
No,
yeah,
but
with her it was different because they had like bonded through war. She had saved his life, and like it wasn't instant and everything. But
I'm pretty sure when he does first see Mustang, it is still also that sort of icky, like, oh, she's attractive, like commentary in his mind.
Yeah, because they meet when he's trying to learn how to ride a horse, and he says something about seeing her there, and I was like, well, okay, we didn't need to meet her there, to be honest. But and then they see each other like in the changing room, and I was like, enough. This is enough. But from after that, like once we get to the war, school, whatever,
Yeah.
then I
Then
felt
they
like that
start
was
actually
yeah.
bonding.
But you're right.
Yeah,
Those scenes before, I was like, you could have just cut those out.
yeah.
Yeah.
That somebody should have flagged that. So,
I agree.
what
So,
other
I would say
topics
I
do we
did-
want to talk about?
I was okay with this book, and I did like how this book handled several things. Like the War Academy felt like an actual war academy. And like I loved how all of the sheltered kids, because like that's essentially what most like 90% of these kids are. They are like the sheltered rich kids. And I like how the academy essentially is all like, hey, you guys want to be really good at war? Here's war. And then they're like, wait, hold up. But rules. And they're like, there's no real rules in war. And I was like, you know, this is actually one of the most believable shit societies I've ever read.
Yeah, that is true. There is like that level of like gritty corruption and like power systems that it does hit something that you just don't see that often, or like done in that yeah, that sort of way.
That
But
being
I
said,
think like
go ahead.
they should have known before they signed up what they were getting themselves into. I don't know.
I think
Yeah, or like Lynn, like what you even brought up before, like us as like the reader should have somehow known that we were getting into like more of a game open
Yes,
scenario
why
than like an
didn't
actual academy.
Yeah, the rebellion leader should have been like, "Hey, we're sending you to this school, but by the way, like it's a war school and you're possibly gonna die."
war strategies was in fact not one of the many things we downloaded into your brain.
Yeah, that would have came in handy.
See,
No,
I think presumably most of them like they knew on a surface level what they were getting into, because a lot of them kind of make reference to the fact like they don't know that they're gonna have to like they don't know about the culling hall.
Oh yeah,
like that's supposed to be like a really dark secret. Essentially, it's sort of a society-wide. Yeah, we don't talk about that, right?
yeah.
So that part is kind of understandable to me, but and a lot of them like they talk about understanding the war game. Essentially, they talk about like, oh yeah, my like dad was like the primus of his house during that year.
That's true. They did talk about that.
but I thought they said
very
my dad won, but I didn't realize it was like this. Is what
Yeah,
I thought he said.
that's what I
like
was gonna
he
say.
didn't realize it was okay.
Yeah, it is. It's one thing to be like, yeah, we played war games and we had to strategize and we had to like survive. And another thing to actually understand what it is like to have to do that. Because it's like, yeah, you can hear about that secondhand and stuff, but then like you're in it and you're like, oh, I see. So
Yeah, to the extent of what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it's all corrupt anyway, and they're trying to get who they want to win.
That's like what I said, that's like the sort of believable level of corruption where it's like it's all of this crazy game and like you know, people are dying and so much terrible crap is happening and it's at the end of the day, oh, it's still rigged anyways. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then our he's just like, no. He's like, I deal with it. He's like, yeah, I could make compromises for, you know, the goal and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But no, I want to stick it to them. So I'm gonna win anyway. And I'm like,
for real.
Glad your wife died for this.
Yeah. Way to keep your head down.
way to accomplish your goal and be motivated, which, to be clear, I love the attitude of, no, it's the principle of the matter. That's perfectly fine with me. Normally, I would 100% root for that. But you tried to convince me of this very specific thing. And I'm just annoyed.
Especially when, because he gets offered the deal, like, right? Is it the jackal who offers him the deal? Like, oh, yes, my father will set you up, and that's pretty much what ends up happening anyways. But yeah, he had to push through and be like, no, I have to actually win. But yeah, if you're right, if he was trying to do his objective, he should have just taken the deal.
Well, and I do think like early on they kind of learned that like whoever wins has the best opportunities. So I get that, that does align with the supposed plan, that if he does win, he'll have the best opportunities, and therefore
not at that point.
High up.
No, because at that point not accepting this offer could be a huge political fuck up for him.
Yeah.
Because not accepting this offer, he is spurning one of the most powerful political houses by the potential of everything he could lose by spurning the jackal is huge. And the only reason it doesn't backfire is just because their parents or their dad is kind of, he's just like, oh, well.
Yeah, no, you're right. I meant like before that happens, the reason why he's so focused on winning, I thought, was because that did align with the plan. If he wins and he gets the best opportunity to become somebody high up, to have more power. But you're completely right. He should have. And I think he does say like the rebellion leader would be mad at me if he knew I said no to this.
Yeah, and then he's like, but they killed my wife. And I'm like, you haven't given a fuck about that in like 100 pages.
Yeah, really. You've been like, your head is in the game. Like you're just playing
in the snow with Mustang.
Yeah. You're just having fun playing war. So don't my wife me right now.
But my wife.
Which I liked his wife, and that like she was on page for so little time, and I was like, woman.
I said I don't feel like we got to know her enough for me to like her, but I was frustrated that she was dead, just like that. Yeah.
Also, the whole the emotional entry that Mustang had into his heart was that she sang the song that his wife sang at her death thing. And like later you find out that, like the proctors and everybody can hear everything. And I'm like, why are they not doing anything about Mustang singing the rebel song?
They're probably not airing that.
Like, why is this not?
They're editing. Remember, Sam? They're heavily editing this footage.
Yeah, that part. I'm just like.
Yeah, I don't know. That I also had to be like, oh, okay, whatever with that part. Does anybody have any
like Hunger Games too?
It did
the whole time, and
a little bit too eerily with the comparison. Did anybody have any thoughts on the prose and writing style, kind of other than the couple things that we brought up already?
Other than the fact that he sounds like an old man, which again is in part the narrator, but I feel like I've heard old men narrate teen boys before, and it's never given me such a whiplash issue. So I want to say it's the writing style is very heavily influenced in that as well.
Well, he does really do just even, obviously, again, it's part of the narrator and the narrator's delivery. But obviously, it also goes back to the writing of sort of his simplistic sentences and way of speech before, and then after, when he's had his gold training, and that he speaks very eloquently. And so, I mean, Pierce Brown, he did put some.
There was intention to his.
Yes, intention.
Is it only when he speaks, though? He's still thinking?
No, I was talking about the narrative voice in general, not the speech. He actually sounded like the voice that the narrator used, Tim Gerard Reynolds. He actually, like when he did the speaking voice, he sounded younger. Okay. So it was only the narration voice that he made sound older. And I don't even think like as far as the narrator, the voice acting goes, I think he was just trying to kind of make him sound tired a lot of the time, which the character was quite tired a lot of the time. So I really think it was just the writing style really added a lot to making me perceive our minor boy as grizzled or attempting to seem grizzled. Otherwise, I didn't really like it. Was very standard dystopian sci-fi to me, so
yeah. Other than, like I said, some of the descriptions and changing the speech cadence a little bit, it was pretty there's one thing that I really didn't like. I don't know how you guys feel about it, that Darrow refused to change his name. To me, it kind of went back again to like, hey, if you're really trying everything you can do to like pull this off, why are you really insisting on keeping your name, which feels very...
That would be like me going undercover in Japan. And it's like, yes, this girl is Japanese. We have completely reconstructed her body and her mind to be Japanese. What would you like your name to be? And I'm like, Samantha. And they're like, that is so not Japanese. And I'm like, I don't care. You're not taking it away from me. I will be Samantha forever. And I'm like, come on. We got Kimiko, Setsuna, Sakura. If you want to stick with your S's. No, Samantha.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just like choose a name that had like some similar sounds and be like, oh, like Darrophilius or something, but they called me Darrow for short. Like, there you go. That would like solve everything. But like
I don't know if that would solve everything because like he's gonna be in their society soon, and he was like a famous hell diver from his community. So I'm like,
my other thing.
Don't keep the same name, sir. That's insane. You're supposed to be under the radar.
I'm like, wasn't this man just broadcast on live television being whipped earlier? Yeah. Like, did they? Oh, I guess they were just like this unnamed helldivers potentially how they broadcast it.
That's true, maybe, but I'm sure like
he took the new family name, but I feel like that would be even more jarring. Like Samantha Urameshi. Yu Hakusho names.
And also, the rebellion leader is like, do you know what we had to go through to change the paperwork for the name of this real person? That you know what I mean? Like he was like, this took a lot of work to get your name to be what you wanted it to be. And
Darrow was just like, good.
Yeah. And I was like,
it took you a lot of hard work. I don't want to be here anyway.
Rebellion leader, what are you doing? Like, no wonder this rebellion hasn't been successful yet. You're lost here.
It's just like those weird, like I said, character motivations where it's like, really, if he was really consistent, he would have done anything. He would have changed his name. He would have taken the deal. It's like, okay, they don't really like... Yeah, those decisions didn't make sense.
His name
that's why when they try to convince me later that he's not just in this for revenge, that he can't be just like, was it Titus?
Yep, Titus.
Yeah, that he's not just like Titus. I was like, hold on. I thought that the entire time I've been getting is that revenge is in fact his only motivation. Because if he had any more motivation than just petty revenge, then, which I'm not saying petty to like minimize, but like literally his revenge and like he's fueled by spite. Like then most of his actions don't make sense if you try to view them outside of that. Because like you're saying, like the entire time they're getting him ready and prepared for it, he's just like being such an ornery little snot about every step of it. I'm like, he doesn't give two fucks about this rebellion or this rebellion's success. He's just mad because his whole worldview was just mad. And I mean, like, to be clear, I find his anger and rage very justifiable, right? Like his wife was just killed in front of him because they were out of bounds, essentially. And then she sang a song in defiance, and then she's murdered. And then he's like kidnapped, and he doesn't understand why him. And then now they're like, you have to do all of this so that your wife's death doesn't mean nothing. And oh, by the way, you've been lied to. You're not a pioneer. You're just an underground slave. And he's like, fuck you, fuck them, fuck everyone. And I'm like, this is fine. Just don't try to convince me it's deeper.
Because to me, it would have been such like a better opening if they didn't. They could have thought, oh, I would have just changed all of that and had his motivation been about finding out that he's been lied to and he's an underground slave, and not having it about his dead wife, and not like doing that.
He also has his dead dad that he could be in revenge for. We didn't need another.
The whole beginning, I thought that like when she was like, I have a secret to tell you, I thought she was pregnant. I thought she was about to say we're about to have a baby, and then he was going to be like, oh shit, when it was just me and you dealing with this, that was one thing, but now I got to be a good dad and I got to change the world. And then like, they get separated or an accident happens, and then his like whole motivation is changing the world for like his kid and his wife. And then they get captured, and I'm like, she's about to fucking martyr herself. There ain't no baby.
And when she's captured and they're gonna hang her for the song, I told Violet this earlier. I thought that was gonna be the catalyst for him to do something to save her, not let her die holding her down. Like, I just feel like trying to get out of this society could have been the reason for the change and everything. And I mentioned to Violet, it would have been nice to see EO be the one to like show him that the world is like, they were outside, and I was like, why couldn't that been the secret she wanted to tell him? Because she does seem to know that like things aren't what they seem.
Yeah, to be like, hey dummy, didn't you notice that there's all this stuff going on?
And I think for his 100% name,
part of the rebellion. Her death was planned. There's no way her death was not planned with the rebellion.
Yeah,
and there's too much aligned with it. The one guy happened to be visiting that day. It just happened to be broadcast. Like, no, her death was planned. The conspiracy confirmed. And once he finds that out, he's going to be mad at the rebellion.
And I do think, like, when he's being a little snot, as you put it, they're like, oh, you're already a gold. And I'm like, wow, that happened really quick. But I think his name could have incorporated EO and like meant so much more. I was like, why weren't we?
See, this
literally every
you should have told us up. We could have we really could have helped you with this, man.
Anyway, I don't know who he was working with as an editor, but I feel like that would have been a nice thing to suggest.
That's a great idea.
Every time somebody says his name, he's thinking of EO. Like, it's a great reminder of why you're here. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that would have been great. But I also love the kind of the trope of like when a character has like an alias and they sort of become that creature. And with him becoming a gold, it's like so great to look back and be like, wait a minute, remember who you are, Darrow. Like, be yourself.
I do wonder, especially you mentioned like it used to be considered YA. We'll get to that hopefully. But I do wonder if not changing his name was the reason to not confuse a reader, because that often happens in books where a character starts with one name and then has to change it, blah blah blah. So I thought maybe that was like the reason they didn't want to change it, but
yeah, but there was like, it's such a convoluted cast of so many characters with these big prestigious names, and it felt like, I don't know. Okay, hold on. We could talk about that. I was going to say we can talk about sci-fi tropes, but I don't feel like we really need to. Is there any that you guys want to? Just sort of like, terraforming a different planet. Hierarchy, like modifications, body mods. But yeah, YA or adult? That's such a good question. Sam, I had said to Lynn before you got here that when I was home for Easter, I went to my library to check the book out, and it had been shelved adult in the library. But when I had originally seen the book, it had been on a YA reading list. So I was like, I found that interesting.
I thought this book was YA. I did not realize this book was adult until this very moment. It had a YA voice. It's a coming of age story. Everybody's teenagers. None of the sex scene or violence were overly gratuitous, though the way that all of the darker, heavy themes were handled was very age appropriate for teenagers. So I thought this book was YA. I did not realize it's adult.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. I think it was just a little bit too dark in some parts.
Yeah.
But you're right. Not like.
I
not the
feel
text.
like that's your mileage will vary depending
Yeah.
on your teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Because-
the most red flag part for me is like the slavery element.
Mm.
With the flags and taking
Yes,
slaves.
but
Um,
because of the way it's portrayed and handled, I still feel
Yeah.
like that's not a subject that we should shy away from YA just because. Like,
Well,
yeah,
for
and it
me-
is handled well, but
Yeah. So
I know that like YA has the darker aspects. For me, it was almost more just the complexity, that it's quite complex, the interweaving of a lot of the different things once it gets going. So I'm like, oh, this is quite, again, if we're comparing it to like the arena of the Hunger Games versus this sort of war game, this is a lot more complicated.
yeah.
again,
And we
I
haven't
feel like
even
that's
seen the whole world yet. Like we're still
Yeah, we've just
So-
seen a sliver. So
yeah, I think you're right. Like it's very complicated. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of things happening.
Again, I still just feel like that's your mileage may vary given teenagers. Like, as far as the complexities of that go, like shonen anime, like teens follow that so easily, and they have like cast of 30 to 40 characters very often, all with complex interconnecting backgrounds and stuff. And so I really just depend that. Like, I would definitely say this is older YA, like meant for the older teens. I'd say like 16 to 19, but like still felt very YA to me. Like, but again, though, it's your mileage may vary with your teenager because teenagers are so drastically different and varied.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, when
Even,
I
like,
look it
more
up,
new
it says that the first book was YA, and then they later rebranded the whole series as adult.
That's what
Yeah,
I was wondering too.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, I think how many books are there in the whole series? I think it's like 5, but it's kind of like the first 3 are a trilogy, and then the next ones are their own separate thing, I believe.
Yeah, but we've discussed how series sometimes their age demographic like changes as the series goes on, and the series itself kind of grows with the reader. So given how book 1 ends, though, I could very easily see the following books being like adult, and then the publishing company just labeling this adult to, be safe to incorporate the whole thing. And I'm not mad about it being labeled adult.
Yeah, I think it is in like a weird gray area where it can be both. I think if I was editing this knowing it was going to go YA, I would change one thing. And it would probably be pulling on the feet when people are being hung. I feel like that was just a little, we didn't need to know that. I mean, it's part of the world because there's no gravity, and I get that, but it did feel just a little too dark.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it was adult, it could have changed a few things. Definitely. Definitely a gray area.
Even
I mean,
I would not have wanted more detail about anything.
I was thinking about his age. If it would we age him up and age EO up?
Yeah, because they're not like average 17-year-olds.
If it was more, if the academy was more like a university level instead of like, so if we're thinking of people in the early 20s.
I want them to be mid-20s.
Mid-20s, and then it would really feel like their marriage was established and not just like,
if they knew each other since they were kids and they are in their mid-20s and he's been a hell diver since he was like 9 or 10, like it would have given.
He'd be sick of this by now. He wouldn't be thinking he's still a hot shot.
Yeah, and like there's just so many pros to them being slightly older.
Oh, like, I think I would like that even better. If he was like 27, but he had to play like a 24-year-old university kid, I would love that.
They gotta de-age him when they do all
this. No, that he had to act younger, but he had like more experience. Oh, that see, I would eat that up.
And he was like annoyed at some of their behavior because they are kind of spoiled rich kids.
Yeah.
So that would have leaned into it even more. He would have been really annoyed with them. Yeah. And it's a good point, Sam. Like they did tackle a lot of things and I guess like off page, so that was useful if it's being targeted for YA, like Titus raping the women.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Like we hear about that and so I just felt like reading it, I was like, ooh, just a little more.
Oh yeah, that was major yuck. But...
Yeah.
I rolled my eyes at it. I'm like so desensitized to that in literature that whenever I see it in like a gritty, serious novel, I'm like, did we need this? No.
Yeah, I think
not need this. This was.
I feel like I have so many of those. Like I don't know.
It made Mustang really angry, and so that was what it was used for, I guess. But
yeah, but we could have done other things. Like you don't need that. And then his justification for doing it was because they did it to his wife in front of him, which again to me would like hit harder if they were older, because like there's just longer for that bond to form and stuff. And
yeah, that was another thing. It's like, especially when he talked about Io, he talked about like, oh, like that sweet childhood girl Io, and like, oh, but also now my wife and like this beautiful creature. And it was like, okay, what?
Like I don't know. Married like 2 years.
Yeah, it's just how he talked about her. It almost felt like I don't know. It just I didn't feel the.
I feel like because we're putting this out here in the internet for the world to see, I am not shitting on people who have not been married for very long. I got married young. But like if me and my husband had only been married for 2 years and I died or something, like that isn't going, I feel like that wouldn't hit him as hard as now that we've been married 17 or 16 years this year. So
yeah, for sure.
Different.
It is different because it really, especially him being 17, it feels like, oh, you have your whole life ahead of you and you're now in this whole new world and this whole new class system. That's why it's like, I feel like if he would have changed his name, it would have been even like more divorcing him from his like identity.
Yeah, which he does, like, he sort of tries to divorce himself. He's like, oh, Darrow the high diver would have acted like this, but Darrow the gold cannot. And I'm like, but what if your name wasn't Darrow?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's so dumb. Like, honestly, did he just really like the name Darrow? I don't know. Again, he could have made a name that had sounded similar, and Darrow could have been the nickname if he really wanted people, like, it could have sounded like Darrow or had Darrow or Io incorporated into the name.
The reason he gave was because he had to give up essentially his body, his mind, and every piece of his identity. That the one thing they weren't going to take away from him was his name.
That's not true. He had the flower petal in the thing.
I'm just saying that's what he said, which he crushes and throws away at some point because they take Mustang, I think. So I'm like, you crushed your dead wife's symbol.
I think that was a different one. It wasn't the one within the thing. It was one he had picked, I think, for her. But you were going to give this new lady the same symbol as your wife? No.
Yes.
I love that you guys are also a little bit salty about the book because like I thought like everybody's gonna be like, this book is so great, it's so amazing.
Laura needed to be here for that.
Yeah, Laura, we needed you. But like I said, I had heard a lot of things on BookTube where it's quite divisive. But really what I've heard is that the first book is the worst and that the series gets really good in the later books.
In mild defense of this book is not terrible. It's not the worst. Like, especially as somebody who grew up reading fantasy and sci-fi in like the 90s and 2000s and stuff, there where you had, as a female reader, you just had to become desensitized to very specific things. Otherwise, there was literally nothing you could read.
Yeah. When you said you were talking about prose and writing style earlier, and I was pretty quiet because I was like, it's a male author. That's all it is. That's my comment. I was like, yeah.
I would not say that like for me, I would not put this series or him in like the same pile as I would as, well, that is a fantasy or sci-fi I'd probably like better if it was written by somebody else. Like I really think my only real big issue that way is just that it was like only male on female rape. And like, while I'm like, you could have just left it out at all. It's also like in wartime and stuff, it's not that like clear cut. It's not just that specific, believe it or not. And also I'm like, but again, you could have just left that out. That did not need to be in there. And that's like, that's the only real thing that that's the only real problem I have. Everything else is just me kind of being salty.
No, but you're right. They could have made the Titus character a female character who was a female red impersonating a gold. That would have been it would have made a much more layered dynamic and discussion.
Well, no, I also mean that like in wartime, like, while yes, women and children are also, they also will rape the other male soldiers and stuff as a dominance thing.
Even just seeing like
so and you are right, like female on male rape also is a thing that happens, especially for like, you know, it's just because it's largely just about asserting dominance and proving yourself better than the others and stuff, or like revenge and whatnot. So, but again, I would have just rather it not been there at all.
Yeah, same.
I just think it again. I wouldn't have to have been to that extent rape, but I think it could have been cool if it had been a female gold.
I think so too.
Impersonating red, especially seeing like that power.
If all the female leaders weren't just out strategized and dominated by the MC, yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been cool.
The only female leader or female in power who actually succeeds is because she's sleeping with the MC.
Yeah.
Are they sleeping together? I mean, physically sleeping.
I thought it was very clear that they were fucking each other by the end.
There was it was an implied sort of something is going on.
Yeah.
That's like another thing.
He's like, I can't believe I kissed her. So it's not. I didn't think they had done anything other than
there was one scene I thought was a very clear fade to black, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but that's something to me that made this feel more YA. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
How that was handled.
The relationship.
Yeah, and again, the makeover kind of montage at the beginning that also felt very YA to me. I don't know, this sort of training montage. So,
and I do think, just back to the rape for a second, it is a good point that is part of war. So I could see how maybe the author was like, this is part of war, so I'm leaving it in. If somebody, you know what I mean? I can see that. But I do like the idea of Titus being female, because I would have liked to have seen Darrow consider a partnership there. And I think he says it in like one line, and then he's like, I can't risk this. I have to kill him. But I think had it been a female, maybe he would have, seen EO in her like he sees in everybody else and not wanted to kill him. Like, I think that could have been interesting, that if he had taken some time to be like, we could work together.
Only if we also have a female in power who is good. Because if the only female in power we have is
an asshole,
that's even worse. Than just having none in power at all.
Well, and even Mustang, like at one point, he's like, I know they're just following me because of Mustang, but she's like letting him lead. And I'm like, Mustang, you're amazing. You should just do your own thing.
Why him?
Yeah.
Oh, when she finds him and takes care of him, I'm like, this is Hunger Games. They're in the cave together. I was like, this is Hunger Games. Oh, yeah. Really funny.
Yeah, I also really love the Hunger Games vibe, especially the first time I read this. Oh my gosh.
Like Mustang being like, hey, we should take over everyone, but like not actually keep them enslaved, just have them earn their freedom. And then him getting all the credit for that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And he's considered like the winner at the end, right?
Yeah.
And he used that freeing the slave things as kind of like his thing of, oh, well, it's different because I actually freed him. I'm different than all the other winners. Like,
except it wasn't your idea.
Yeah. I'm special. I'm like the chosen one. Hello, excuse me.
And like, it should have been his idea. You were literally the slave in the underground. Why didn't you think, like, you should have been the one, like, sorry, Mustang, you're a spoiled little rich bitch. You shouldn't be the one going, let's free everybody.
Like, I think that's the frustrating part of it, right? Is because it's like, this is all a decision by the author. Not only do you give me this man or this boy who is bad at his job, you give me a girl who is more competent at his job, even though she doesn't know what his job is, but he still gets all the credit for it.
But like, you literally set it up for him to be that person. Like, you made me read those chapters for a reason.
Yeah, but almost this feels like something that Pierce Brown wrote, and that this kind of even went over his head. Like,
yeah, maybe
this nuance went way over his head. He does not even.
Which I am sorry to this man, I do not know, but it's unfortunate. It is because, in my opinion, it's because he's a man, and he probably didn't like have any like women with critical perspectives like this who read it beforehand, because that's a very that is such a very like not male thing, but a thing in fiction for men, right? Like Harry Potter, you know, Hermione was so fucking competent. Who gets all the credit for most shit? Harry.
Yeah.
So it is. There are other examples, but that is the one. But yeah, it's just like, that's so fucking common, where we have a barely competent male, and then he's got a super competent female supporting him, and he still gets all the credit.
And you know what? To be fair, to your point, but also to be fair to Darrow, I guess, it was Io that was like, we're slaves, Darrow. So I guess it wasn't his idea anyway. He didn't think of it originally, but like, you should have been like, thinking about Io, talking about us being slaves in the mine. Anyway, the more I talk about it, the more frustrated I get. What did you say, Sam?
I said he's the one with the rebel dad. He really should have.
And like, how rebellious was his dad? Like, really? I don't know if I got enough detail, and maybe I missed it, but like, he does the dance, and
he ran a peaceful protest.
Okay, well,
he was murdered for it, essentially.
As one does, yeah.
And he's considered a radical in this world.
A radical in the underground.
Yeah, in the underground.
Yeah.
He's considered
okay.
radical.
Well,
because he dared sing and dance peaceably to show their displeasure.
Even Darrow doesn't see him that way, because he's like, he was stupid. He left his wife and his kid without anybody. That's the vibe I got, that he doesn't really see him as a hero anyway, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, there are things that I would have changed.
Yes, definitely. So I guess for me, this was just very, it was a very standard male MC adventure, but it wasn't as bad or like problematic as I would have assumed such an adventure to be. So.
Well, with this all being said, I have the banner. Would this survive in the market today? Would you consider continuing the series? But I feel like I can't even like almost ask the question, would this survive in today's market? Because I'm pretty sure the series, is it still being published, or the last book was not even that long ago published, and it's clearly very successful. But I don't know if this first book.
So as an adult series, I do think it would survive in today's market, because most of the like audience it would be geared to are those of us who grew up desensitized and accepting certain things. So then we read this and we're like, oh, that's not so bad. Like, oh, this could, like, our biggest issues are just like nitpicks and preference and stuff, not, oh, but this was an issue, or that was,
yeah, that's
like,
true.
there's only one like glaring thing, and that's it. And for like a book like this, like if I'm reading like a fantasy man series and stuff, and then I'm like, oh, but the female character was treated and she was shitty and this and that, like, no. As a YA book, I don't know though, because teens have access to so much better.
In teens this day are a lot more
spoiled, and I love it.
Yeah, I feel like the market for teens, it's a lot different
of these things. I was reading an article, which this is about a movie, not a book, but the article was basically this Gen X mom was watching the Dead Poets Society with her Gen Z kids, right? And she was like surprised by, not like in a bad way, she just kind of noticed that like for her, she watched it and stuff, and as a Gen Xer, she was very like desensitized to certain things, or just kind of like, oh well, that's just how it is. But her kids would like point out certain things like, man, that wasn't cool, or like the end of the movie, when like as a Gen Xer, she's like, but he changed each of those kids' lives on an individual level. But her teenagers were just like, but nothing changed. The school is still shit. And so like she was like, the Gen Z generation, they're looking for more of change and everything on a systematic level instead of an individual level. So like the things that they're more cognizant of is very different from the things my group of friends were. So I don't know. I would be very interested to find out, but
I think it would need a heavy edit.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep, it would need an edit.
It would need a better cover.
It would need like a Reds to Gold makeover. Like a bone graft.
Cool though, if like the cover starts as red and then the red kind of like drips to the gold.
Love that idea. You're hired. I think too, like Violet and I talked.
Terrible. I'm the concept lady.
Violet and I also talked earlier on about the beginning being a little slow, and in multiple places it kind of felt slow, and I think that would have had to be sped up a little bit for a YA audience today. That's my take on that.
I can't speak to that because my hold on Hoopla was gonna go back in like under 12 hours. So yeah, but I had to listen to it at like 2.7.
I was gonna say,
oh my gosh.
I was listening so hard. So everything felt fast.
Your really wide eyes were listening really good.
Normally, I prefer listening at times too for most things, just because that's like a good conversational tone for me for the things. I only listen faster if I'm like on a time crunch, and I almost never go above 2.5 because I feel like I'll miss it. Like I just don't think I'll process everything enough. But I was like, desperate times come for desperate measures. I'm out of Hoopla Barros.
And there was like a lot of detail.
I wouldn't in sci-fi go that fantasy and sci-fi. I never go that fast. Like romance, I can like crank it up. There, you don't need as much comprehension. But
you're like, I'm not gonna thrillers. I can crank up. Because like I'm not gonna miss this one little detail in the world building.
Sci-fi and fantasy, I don't go too much higher than like, oh, if I'm getting up to 2, it's
And I even remember when I started it, and I kind of told Violet this. It wasn't what I expected because I didn't know what to expect, and I had just the red wing on the front, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I do remember I like started it, and I probably got 15 minutes in. I was like, "I'm starting this over. I need to start again."
I saw the cover. I saw the title. I was like, am I going to get another Raven Boys? I did not get another Raven Boys.
No,
I was like, where are the winged creatures? The winged people? I don't understand. And I mean, we get them eventually, but I was very confused in those first few minutes. And I remember being like, all right, wait a second. Let's start over.
Okay, but one thing I do have to give this credit. I love the title Red Rising, and that the sequel is called Golden Sun. I was like, oh, those are nice titles.
I didn't know the second one, but I did feel Red Rising was a good title. It's just the cover that I was like, I don't know. It confused me at first, but then it made sense. So, yeah.
And I can't remember what the rest of the books are called. The one's called like Dark Ages. That's one of the new ones.
Interesting.
You can see I'm very up on this. But for the second half of the question, would you continue? I think now I'm going to continue on in the series. Like I had said to Lynn before, when I originally read this in like 2021, I had no desire to continue. But now I think I am going to continue just because I still hear so many people say that the series gets really good. So
I honestly, until you told me that, I don't think I was going to, and now I'm like, okay, maybe I will. I'll put it on hold and see what happens and see if I feel in the sci-fi mood when it comes up. But originally, I was kind of like, that was fine. I can see like the seeds that have been planted for where it could be going. And so part of me is curious to know if that's what actually happens, like what I'm thinking. But yeah, I don't know. I have so many other books to read.
well, honestly,
Sorry, Pierce.
talking about if this would survive in today's market, my library, for my Libby, the book had an over a year wait for Red Rising. So I had to listen to it on. I had to listen to it on Spotify, and then when I was at home and went to my public library in person, there it was also checked out.
Oh wait, you're talking about book one. Okay,
book one, yeah.
Wow.
So
there's a several months wait on one library card, 10 weeks on another, 9 weeks on the third. So
it makes sense too if a new book came out recently, like Violet said, then people are reading.
Yeah, hopping in or rereading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know.
It'll be a low priority, but yeah, I'll probably continue because the only time I don't continue a series, it has to have majorly upset me.
Yeah, so. But it could take me like 10 years to get to it.
Yeah, that's my issue is if I wait too long, then I never get back into it.
No, exactly.
So this rereading it was like, okay, now this is my time where I can get back into it. So I'm like, okay, I think I did put already a hold on Golden Sun. I don't know how long the wait for it was, but I might also just end
more than a year to get back to a series. I just reread the first book when I eventually do continue. So,
oh gosh, I'm like that right now with I'm reading, what are those Brandon Sanderson books? The Stormlight Archive. Oh, I've been over a year wait for the last book. I'm like, those books are so chunky. I don't even remember what happened in the series. I'm gonna need to watch like a 5-hour recap video.
My goal this year was to finish as many series as I could because of Nostalgia Train and the Year of Favorites book clubs. I had started so many series in like last year and the year before, and I was like, I've read so many book ones. I want to finish some series. And then I joined Pagebound. And they have like seasonal read-alongs and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, my series list. So, also my Nashville library doesn't allow out-of-city residents to do the digital resources anymore as of this year. I'm so sad because that's where I got the majority of my holds. So I was like, tear goes down my cheek.
Oh, that's not nice. I don't like that. I think like, libraries should.
I can't blame them, but I'm also like, why would I pay $5 a year for this library card if I can't use you on Libby?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I have to drive an hour to get to you. I just think.
Yeah, no.
So
that feels icky to me
now, so I don't have to pay $5, but
yeah.
Like my physical library has a very nice selection, but
oh wow. I mean, I still do have one banner, but I don't know if we even have anything more to say about my favorite themes, symbols, and motifs. I talked about the little linguistic tick of like bloody damn or whatever.
Yes.
That was a nice little reoccurring thread.
The flower coming back.
The flower. Mm-hmm.
Was nice.
That was a good one.
What else? I mean, just I guess a theme of slavery.
Yep. Classic.
Classic. It felt very like dystopian to me with that.
Yeah, for sure. This is a class system. Also, just the color motifs of the caste system with the reds and the golds. And
oh, you know what? It reminded me of Hunger Games a lot, but it also reminded me of Red Queen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they're reds in that, and I don't remember what the other people's colors are, but
silver? Is it silver in Red Queen? Reds and grays? Reds and
I don't know. I should look it up.
I think it's
Is
silver.
it gold?
But no, because in Red Queen, it's like literally their blood, isn't it? When you cut them in their blood, they bleed that color.
Gold is the ultimate evil.
Red or silver? You were right. Red or silver. But so the world is divided by blood, which was interesting that here they all bleed red and they use that.
Yeah, I actually got it confused with Red Queen too. When they cut him open, I was like, oh no, they're gonna see his red blood. And then I was like, that's not a thing in this series.
Yeah, no.
There's a part where they cut him and he bleeds red and he's like, why did you do that? And the rebel guy is like, so you remember where you came from. And I was like, do golds not bleed?
Yeah, it was confusing. Okay, thank you.
So I don't think that was, and I've never read Red Queen, so I didn't even have that to base it on. It was just because of the way it was set up. I felt like the golds are going to bleed a different color. Part of me even wondered if they'd bleed like black because they're like a metal. So do they bleed oil? Like
Red
do
Queen
they
is
bleed at all?
I wonder if we'll ever cover for the book club because it's.
I really enjoyed it, and I thought, like, once I had that thought about, like, oh, they're reds, like the Red Queen, I remember there's a lot of, like, the battling between, I don't really know. It was just different people that are, like, set up to battle, so again, it was very Hunger Games-like, and she has to fight people, but they have powers and things, so
yeah, they had like an arena or something in that.
It was more like in a close quarter,
like gladiator battles or something.
Exactly, but it did give me that same like vibe of like we're all against each other.
Maybe we should do Red Queen. Dang, I read that book so long ago, and I remember quite a lot of it.
I'm up for rereading it. It was very good. It was just funny that like at one point when they're talking about being reds, I was like, wait a second, I've read something else where they're reds. Very similar kind of vibes in terms of everyone is against each other. Other than that, like the motifs of them having wings, the golds.
Oh yeah.
Do they all have wings?
I don't know. I don't feel like the wings were ever utilized. I constantly forgot they had.
That didn't feel like it was properly explained. No.
They have like thruster boots. So like, are your wings not?
Are they just decorated?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it will probably see more of that in the continuation. I would assume.
Okay. Hopefully. I genuinely forgot that they had wings until we brought up the wing on the cover, and then I was like, "Why is there a wing on the cover?" And I'm like, "Oh, he did have them implanted." Yeah. Why did he have them implanted? I was like,
he did. Yeah, and he talks about the girl that was taking care of him when he was healing, and she has like a small set of wings, I think, with like a little ribbon around them. And I'm like, yeah, because she's not free. Slavery. Anyway, slavery again and again.
Like I can understand if they have wings, but they can't actually use them to fly because of proportions, and it's a sci-fi, so it's supposed to be more like.
Yeah, that's why they propeller boots.
I still feel like
it could have been brought up.
Have an extra appendage. You should be remarking on it about as often as you do arms or legs.
Yeah.
So.
Like if people are being tortured, the wings are cut off. People are molting. I don't know.
Bruh, you could like pluck them. That's the torture. Like, slowly like pull their
they're all sick from eating raw meat and stuff. Like they should look unhealthy. Their wings would look unhealthy. I don't know. You definitely forget about it.
They should have like mentioned like, oh, you could tell when someone's starving because they're molting. Because they're,
Thank you. That's what I think. They should have mentioned it a bunch. Molting, torture, apparently not flying. Whatever.
What is that? Violet?
So I was thinking like, oh, they're, the angelic higher ups because of these wings, but then we don't really talk about it.
Yeah, they didn't really get into the wings. Yeah.
And then so we have like the wing people, and then I already called them like the mole people of mine.
Yeah, the mole people. Yeah.
The mole people, but like they're at the bottom of the hierarchy, literally in the ground. And so that
in hell, even diving through it.
Yeah. So I noticed that, but then it didn't feel like we did that the angel winged people justice type thing.
Like the wings were such in my opinion, they were like at the beginning, it's like they were such an important symbol in everything until he got them. And then once he got them, they did not matter.
He forgot about them. That they're not important now that you have them. Maybe I don't know.
Like we did not get any. Oh yeah, because like especially when he's
awkward with them,
trials and he's not used to having them. That
should have been bumping into stuff. Yeah.
So now that you mentioned that, I can't unknow it.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely just forgot that
there better be some wing content in book 2.
There better, yeah. Otherwise, hard enough.
I feel as if I failed as a monster girly. I'm like, how did I not clock that?
Well, and even like getting dressed, like we should have seen something about him trying to get used to
most of their clothes should be like wrap around the
yeah.
No.
Yeah, but they talk about a lot about them wearing the wolf pelts. Wasn't that
you're right.
Wings.
Wolves with wings.
They do. They talk all about the wolf pelts. Like, oh, we didn't even have enough wolves, so they were like metaphorical pelts for these other guys.
Wrapped their wings around like for warmth and stuff in the cave. Also, what kind of feathers they got? Are they water resistant? Because like, if not, their wings could have dragged them down in that one scene in the river.
That's a good point. Probably with the snow too. Like
there
that
are
would
so
have
many scenes that are called into question for me now.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm too much of a monster girly now.
The wolves part is interesting though, in terms of like that motif, where they kind of band together and become a pack, and
that's true, yeah.
Which again becomes his whole thing, even though it was Sevro's identity and idea.
Yeah,
this man is just moldable. He is just, which I do wonder if that's on purpose to an extent, that he is essentially like a blank slate or like clay. He's being molded into what everybody else needs him to be.
And I think he says something to Severo, which thank you for saying his name because I would have never remembered. About like, if this was your idea, don't you want the credit?
He's like, no, I'm introverted.
And I think that's before we know who his that's before we know who his dad is, and that like everybody's kind of out to get him anyway. Also, I just remembered we were talking about the wolf pelts, and I remembered the scene where they skinned the bear pelt for Pack. Is it Pack? I was so sad when Pack died.
How dare they? I fucking loved him.
There
were few characters I loved in this book, and
thank you. Okay,
they killed. I think like when I say few, I think like 2. There are only 2 characters in this book I love. Everyone else I either tolerate or they're fine.
Tolerated, yeah. A good way to say it. I tolerated these characters.
And it was Sevro and Pax.
Yeah,
Pax
Severo was
he was just a giant who wanted somebody kind to follow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, was that necessary? I don't know.
I think this was a really good discussion. A little bit of a rant, but I don't mind a little bit of a rant in my discussions. I feel like a lot of our book discussions get a little bit ranty or praisey. I feel like we usually have one tide that we follow. So
that's a good point. This was the rant tide.
Yeah, but that being said, like I said, I liked it enough to where I want to continue.
We have had discussions to where like one person will have really liked the book and another person will have, but like I love how the discussions are always like respectful, and like people always seem to like be like, okay, well you have a point, you know.
That's true. Sometimes I really hate the book and everybody else loves it, so I'm like, shut your mouth.
No, you should be voicing that opinion.
Well, especially when it's other people's childhood favorites, and then I'm like, oh crap, I didn't like it. Okay, I'm gonna think about the good.
Okay, but you know what? It's hard when you didn't read it in the time that it came out. Like,
Oh my gosh,
when
that's
you're
so true.
reading something for the first time years later, there's so much that has changed in life that
You've become a slightly different person. You are Gold Darrow now.
It is true. We are Gold Darrows now. Like for the book club, one of our first ones was Cirque du Freak, which was like my childhood favorite series. And rereading it as an adult, I was like, what? Like that was it? That was like the book that I thought was so like
Hey,
formative.
that book one made me cry. Do you know what it takes for a book to make me cry?
Did you cry when Pax
sibling
died?
And it made me cry. That's something. If a sibling dies, it's very easy to make me cry. But
you didn't cry when Pax died?
I did not.
I didn't either, but I was
die at 2.7. I didn't have time to grieve.
Yeah.
I think Pax's death more upset me because I was like, if you had just killed that motherfucker like you were supposed to.
Also, can we just say, it seemed like Darrow was not learning his lesson. And I'm trying to remember what I was annoyed about, but like he did the same mistake multiple times. Oh, I think it's following somebody into the fucking woods by yourself. Sorry for swearing.
How old?
He did do that, yeah.
He did it twice.
Up and down,
like, this is a trap. And I'm like, you did it again.
Also, how old is
true.
Because Darrow sees the jackal and he's like, oh, look at this boy. Look at this baby. Who put this baby in war?
I don't remember that.
I know. I mean, like, there's like, I know this baby is my enemy and that this baby is the mastermind behind it. And then this baby is also a fucking monster who is willing to just murder anything. He's like, but it's baby. And I'm like, Darrow, look in the fucking mirror. You too are baby. So how old is he? You are 18 at this point. How old is Jackal that you're acting like he's 4?
Also, I was kind of mad that Mustang didn't tell Darrow.
Mustang's just like,
it's like
really, I love that as another plot twist. It was
a good plot twist, but I think when she's there, she sees Jackal. She knows he's an asshole. She should have told Darrow, like, you need to kill him if that was the plan. Like, I feel like Pax would still be alive.
That's true. There should have been something, yeah.
Bro, you lost. Bye. Like, you know?
I feel like there could have been just like an exchange of words to clue Darrow into like something's wrong. I don't know. She should have said something.
To try harder.
He just closes the door and leaves. And I'm like, you know, this is going to be bad.
See, I forgot that. Even though I had read the book before, I forgot that they were siblings. So like it got me reading it this time. Like whereas like
it was a good plot twist.
Yeah, so like where the other twist where it was like finding out like that the planet had already been terraformed, like I knew that was coming because I remembered that, but this I forgot about. So I was like, ooh. So that like last chunk I was very into the plot again, but there were some parts where I was really a little bit phoning it in.
Yeah, I just think it was a good plot twist and she could have revealed it then and saved us all some heartache.
Yeah,
the
plot twist was nice. I would have even forgiven her for not bringing it up because there's a lot of arguments for her not to bring it up, but it resulted in Pax dying. Therefore, I don't care about her potential moral dilemma anymore.
Yeah, and so, like it seems like she doesn't like her brother. She knows he's bad news. So like after
her dad rigged the whole games so that not her older brother, her twin brother.
Yeah.
So it's that means that Jackal has to be the same age as. You're not telling me
say that.
He's looking at her twin brother and going, "Oh, that's a baby. Oh, that's a boy. That's a little kid." But your sister, who's your twin,
I don't remember the baby elements. I don't remember the baby elements that you're referring to, but I think he's thinking like he doesn't look like a warrior.
He didn't look as menacing like you thought.
Yeah, but I'm like, his name is Jackal. Like, don't trust him.
Yeah.
So I am slightly exaggerating it, but when he does see him, where the entire time he's been referring to everybody else as like man or guy or her or woman or something, just everybody else is equals. He gets there and he's like, there is a boy.
Interesting. I'll have to re-listen to that part.
And he's like, he refers to Jackal as a kid at least once. And
no, I
didn't
pick up on that.
Yeah, and he immediately, like, you pick up on, or as the reader, it's very easy to pick up on the fact that he knows that this is Jackal. He knows that this is the other, and he's even like, well, if this guy was different, I would just kill him. But there's just, for me, there was this weird, almost paternal feeling to him and Jackal until he stabs the hand, and then I'm like, just kill him.
Yeah, so I was just frustrated that she had a chance to say something there to like warn him. So she didn't even know that Darrow knew that was Jackal, right? Like I'm just like, you should have said something. He already knew,
but he didn't clue her into the plan, so like.
Yeah, he wanted her to leave so she didn't ask why everybody's pretending to be drunk on the grape juice. I'm like, whatever, but
Oh yeah, I forgot about that grape juice plot. That was good.
Was good.
I was into that the last chunk. I thought that was good.
It was well done. I think I was just frustrated in Mustang's character in those scenes. Didn't feel like the Mustang we had gotten to know. Like I was like, she should have said something.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those things where, in order to preserve the twist but still try to give hints to it, her and the Proctor both were very obtuse in their vagueness. It's like, oh, you're gonna trust her, or are you? And it's like, why the fuck wouldn't I? The fuck you know that I don't? And it's like, oh, well, I can't tell you. Why can't you? You've already told me so much.
And also, like, he doesn't trust her. He thinks that
he doesn't. No, he thinks that she is double crossing her.
You should have like been more, I don't know, on the fence about whether or not she was gonna double cross. He was like, she's gonna double cross me, which was interesting. I guess that shows like how much his character has probably changed. But
but I love that. See, that part I actually really loved, because earlier the cat had the conversation where he's like, well, why are you like willing just to follow me, and you're just going to be remembered as like a footnote? Don't you want to take this for yourself? And she's like, no. So then later when it's like she comes in and kind of has a moment of kind of grabbing the power, even though, okay, she ultimately kind of redirects it back to him. Boo, hiss. But but it was a power move, at least on her resume, something cool.
See, for her, I could understand her not trying to take it for herself, if only because like her dad like set all of this up for her brother to win. And so she's like, I don't want my dad to maybe kill me for beating my brother.
I need to be just good enough, like, to where I made some power moves. I was always in the right path, but at the end I don't want holding the trophy.
Yeah, and I don't think I remembered that he has that conversation with her as well as Severo or whatever his name was. But yeah, that's a good point. She couldn't really take over because of her family. Did she know before going in, though, that it was going to be rigged for her brother?
Uncertain.
Because she finds out with everyone else.
I feel like she did. Even if she wasn't told directly, I do feel like she did, because she kept trying to like warn him away from confronting the Jackal directly. At least at the beginning, before they like teamed up and stuff, she was basically like, be wary of the Jackal, or like, hey, don't fuck with him and stuff. So I think on a level she knew, even if she didn't know the extent.
She knew her father and his corruption.
Like she probably just like, yeah, Dad. Like there's no way Dad would not have interfered for his precious boy.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, it was good. The ending was good.
Yeah, and that's what I think ultimately pushed me to be like, okay, I will give the next one a chance. The ending really drawing me in after me being kind of like over it for most of my reread. And also knowing that there's hype a lot around the more recent books in the series. So
also, I liked their dad as an antagonist. When he came on, like, he had been built up behind, through word of mouth, he'd been built up. And then when he came onto the page, I felt like it matched with what was built up. I'm like, yes, this is a good antagonist. He was not overhyped. He was not like underestimated. It's like, no, this is what he is, and he is about business. And he's not like he's not stupid ego. He's not like, oh, you defeated my son, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh no, you beat me at my own game. I need to own you now because that makes you a good asset. And I'm like, he's a smart one.
I like the comment too, where everyone else is like shocked that he's making this offer right away. Like it's not usually done this way. And I was like, yeah, this guy doesn't give a shit about how things were done.
They're like, look at this man flaunting social protocol, just doing whatever he wants.
The best right off the bat. Yeah, I thought that was a good piece that, again, like you said, showed his character. Yeah.
I also like when he's like, oh, you want me to stay away from your daughter? And he's like, no, please. In fact, be with my daughter.
I don't care about her. He did say that. Be my guest.
He's like, obviously, my DNA sucks.
Yeah, Darrow. That was a Darrow the Helldiver question. That wasn't a Darrow the Gold question. You messed up there. Do we think that people are going to figure out that Darrow's red because he did say bloody damn?
Oh, yeah. He said bloody damn.
He says bloody damn to the guy, and then he kills him. But I'm like, we're recording this. I don't know. Like, and then, Severo edits it out of the footage. So Severo knows. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I think that part has me the most interested. There's also Eo's secret, which I'm like, I don't really care anymore, but it better be good.
The secret is that she was with the rebellion, I'm certain.
That could possibly be, yeah.
I low-key wonder if Severo already knows.
Before the
not the Proctor, Severo's the son.
Yeah. So Severo says something at the end that's like, I edited out a piece of that, and or like that footage was corrupt, and Darrow goes like, there's a comment there, but
it was very heavily implied, that
he saw the bloody damn footage and then removed that because he knows. So he knows he's a red. That's what I understood. Severo
nudge. I understood that as well.
Yeah. I kind of think his dad's working with the rebellion because the Proctor kept bringing rebellion.
Because I almost got the vibe of almost like, I have a piece of blackmail over you.
Exactly. But he never said it. So
it was very under the table. I did you a solid here. I saw that.
Yeah.
But I covered for you, bro.
Yeah, I guess no one else should find out if Severo did edit it out, but I just felt like, that could be
this
little thread. Yeah.
It definitely. Yeah. So I think this was a really good discussion. I don't have anything more to say.
We're almost 2 hours. Jeez.
We're almost 2 hours. I think this is our longest one in quite a while.
Wow.
And the fact that we were pretty much on topic. Some of ours got long, but then we were rambling about other things.
I think that was good.
Yeah. Normally I have a banner for our next read, but as Lynn and I discovered, there wasn't an official read picked. It was a toss-up, but we think that it's Scythe. So
I think so. I have a hold on Scythe.
Yeah, I think we just want to double check with Anna, but Violet and I both want it to be Scythe, but she had 3 picks.
So we just need to get a confirmation there.
Which I've read Scythe before. So
wow, one that Sam has read before.
Yeah, last year. So
last year, so recent.
Not when I was a teenager.
Okay, this is another one that I'm excited about. So I feel like we had so many good solid picks this year. I remember when I started the book club, I had the feedback from a few different people you're gonna read all the really popular books in a year or two, and then you have nothing left to read. And I was like, no, there's a lot of big books, guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I remember when we were looking at ones for 2016, I was like, "Ooh, oh, there's so many good ones."
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the the wild thing is that every year another year's worth of books get added.
Yeah, another year it gets added. And also I feel like I've been kind of wanting to do posts in the book club. I feel like there's just been so much like YA news around different things, like with the new Hunger Games movie coming out, this new Divergent adaptation. There's like a bunch of sort of like relevant stuff in the book world that like relates back to these nostalgic reads. I was like, oh, this is so what a time. What a time to be a reader. We're a little bit spoiled. So
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Scythe. I haven't read it.
I hope you like it. Because I know I had recommended it to somebody else and they didn't like it.
Oh no, I hate when that happens.
That's the worst when you recommend something and they don't like it. Or, oh crap.
I've
Missed
heard
the
really
mark.
good things, so.
I enjoyed it for what it's worth, Violet. So
Did you
enjoyed
continue on in
both
this
books.
series, Sam?
what are you trying to say, Lynn?
You read a lot?
Standards?
No, you read a lot and you enjoy a lot of what you read. which
That's
is
true,
good.
Sam. Of like, because since you did the page one with all the books, was there like any that you hated?
I can't believe you read them all, Sam. I mean, Violet
Yeah.
has read them all. That's makes sense, but
Well, the thing is, I read them even if I can't make the stream. I have read them. So, but
dedicated.
I thought there would
#1
be a
fan.
couple of the earlier ones that I missed because I wasn't with the book club from the start. But I'm like,
That's
oh
what
no,
I
I've
said. Yeah.
I've either had already read them or read them since then.
Yeah.
What can I say? I love stories, and it takes. If I dislike a story,
It's
it did
bad. That's a
something
bad
very
sign.
wrong.
That's a red flag if Sam doesn't like a book. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
read
but
it.
to be fair, like I said, even the books that I didn't like when we came to discussions and they were other people's favorites, I could find the redeeming qualities.
Well, and
So-
especially if they're from such a different time, then you're like, well,
But a lot of the times I give the sequels a chance and end up DNFing the sequels.
mhm.
I've DNF'd a lot of sequels for Nostalgia Train books, I will say.
Because we
So
wanted to
Interesting.
discuss them with her.
yeah, either I like go all in and then I like ride the series out, or I give the second book a chance and like DNF at 30 or before 30%.
Interesting. I
yeah.
do like that like a lot of the channels are still active because people are still reading them or other people have joined and go back and read them. I like that in the Discord, but it's not me. I'm not I'd have to check, but I don't think there's very many that have continued just because I have so many on my shelf that I need to read. So
Yeah, I have again like the issue where like I'll sometimes get like a hold or one will come available, and it's like, wow, it was so long ago we read that I don't even remember what the book was. I would have to just reread the whole first book. So yeah.
yeah,
Or
I think
like-
it said several months wait for book 2 of this. I just checked for my Libby, and I'm like, I'll have to rewatch this.
That's what I mean. Some of the Nostalgia Train books, like they're so old and they've kind of like were big ones and now they've like tapered off. They're always available. Like my library always has like the Twilight books available, like the Harry
Mhm.
Potter books available, like several of the what's the one other series that we read? The Percy Jackson has a bunch of those available all the time. So like some of them are like quite available a lot, at least like I've seen. And then other ones like you still can't get your hands on.
Not
Like
my
Yeah.
library. We have too many readers in this city. And then they opened up another. See, our main library is like downtown, in amongst all of the political offices and like administrative buildings and stuff. And they just opened another branch last year or something on my side of the city. So it's like 15 minutes away instead of 35 minutes away. But that one is like the design and everything is very obviously geared more toward like families and teenagers and kids, which I love because it's made it a lot easier for my kids to like find books and like to get excited about it and everything. But ever since then, my holds on anything that's not adult have been
Take
so much
longer.
longer. And I'm like, oh, we're having an illiteracy epidemic, not in my city.
yeah.
What a humble brag.
You know, right? It's not a bad problem to have, but
yeah.
Well, yeah, I gotta get going, so I think we will end it here. Where's the button? Yeah, thank you guys for reading along and being on the train for this one, and bye.
bye.
And stream button.